Hey, Jai Hind students, welcome back to the online classes. How are you all? Enjoying? Enjoying? Okay, you are not supposed. Okay, fine, you enjoy, but don't forget to study also. Okay, so today what we are going to do, I'm here with a new chapter, very interesting, beautiful chapter, Easwaran the Storyteller. The title of the chapter is Easwaran the Storyteller, and it is written by famous cartoonist R.K. Lakshman. Okay, R.K. Lakshman, he was a very famous cartoonist. He was the brother of R.K. Narayanan, a very famous writer, Indian author, okay, who has written Malgudi Days, if you remember. Okay, so your parents must be doing about Malgudi Days. Okay, so as you might have got an idea from the title, chapter's title itself, Easwaran the Storyteller. The title itself tells us that the story is about Easwaran. Okay, Easwaran. Now, who is Easwaran? Easwaran, he is a storyteller, and why he is called storyteller? Because as storytelling is an art. Because anybody is not been is you can say perfect in telling stories, because to develop a kind of an interest now, it's not possible for everyone. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So Easwaran, he is called the storyteller because he is good at this craft, you can say, at this art of telling stories. He used to create a lot of interest in his stories. Okay, Easwaran uses special effects, and he does voice modulation also. And what else? He uses his body language, his facial expressions to make the story realistic. Okay, so that the listener, and here who is the listener in this chapter? Here there is a character called Mahendra. He is the listener. He gets attracted so much, he gets captivated in his story. Okay, and here our writer R.K. Lakshman, he wants to highlight this quality of Easwaran. Okay, he wants to highlight the storytelling art of Easwaran. He was so good at telling stories that they appear to be real. Okay, when Easwaran narrates any story now, it appears to be real story, a very real story. Okay, his stories were a source of entertainment for his master Mahendra. Okay, so chalo, let us start with the lesson and explanation. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra by name. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on-hire supervisors at various types of construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Okay, you can see here. Now further let us read. Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office. From a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site, from there after a few months to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. Okay, so supervisor, let me tell you the meaning of the word supervisor. What is supervisor? Supervisor means a person whose job is to check the work of all other people, whether they are doing the job perfectly or not, to keep an eye or a watch on someone's work. That is called supervisor. Okay, so Mahendra narrated a story about Easwaran. And who is this Easwaran? Easwaran is his cook actually. Whose cook? Mahendra's cook. Okay, so Easwaran, who is the storyteller, basically his main profession is of a cook. So Mahendra narrated a story about his cook Ishwaran to Ganesh. So Mahendra is telling Ganesh about his cook Ishwaran. ठीक है ना, महेंद्र गणेश को ये स्टोरी सुना रहा है अपने कुक के बारे में, ठीक है, और कौन है उसका कुक? ईश्वरन, राइट. So Mahendra worked as a junior supervisor. Now the writer is giving you a little bit detail of Mahendra, that what is the work of Mahendra, how is he. So Mahendra worked as a junior supervisor in a company which provided junior supervisors to various construction companies on rent. Okay, and he got posted at different sites like factories, bridges and dams which were under construction. So he's not having a fixed job. He has to move from one place to another wherever the construction work starts. Mahendra's work was to keep an eye on all the workers at the site. He had to change places often and work at various places like a coal mine, railway bridge construction site and the construction site of a chemical plant. Okay. Now let's read next. He was a bachelor. His needs were simple and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions, whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. Okay, but one asset he had was his cook Ishwaran. You can see here Mahendra, he is a bachelor. He was a bachelor, it's written. So bachelor means a person who is unmarried. Okay, because he was unmarried, so he was not having a family, there was no problem in shifting from one place to another place. So he was able to adjust himself from in odd conditions also, where if the conditions are not favorable, he was able to adjust himself. Okay. Then there is another word that is called quarry. Quarry means mine. Quarry means mine. Khan जिसे बोलते हैं. Okay. And makeshift means temporary. So you can see here in the pictures also tent and quarry. Okay. So Mahendra, he was unmarried. He did not have a family. He was able to live in these temporary quarters provided at the construction site. He adjusted well in the circuit house, which did not provide the basic amenities. Circuit house actually they are not well furnished. Okay, they are not well equipped. So he was having no problem in residing that because he was a bachelor. But see, Mahendra is having a big advantage with him. He had a very asset is written na. Asset means advantage, you can say, profit, you can say. Okay. So he was having a big advantage, and who is that? What is that advantage? He was accompanied by his cook Ishwaran everywhere. Okay, so he was having Ishwaran as an asset with him. Why Ishwaran is an asset? That we get to know when we will read the story ahead. Okay. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes and chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes. Anecdotes means a short, amusing or interesting story about a real incident or person on varied subjects. Okay. So this cook na, who is this cook? Cook was Ishwaran. So Ishwaran was very close. He was very close to whom? He was very close to Mahendra and accompanied him everywhere. He did not complain about the tough conditions in which he had to live. Generally servant they complain na that this condition is not favorable for me, I will not do this work or that work. But Ishwaran was not having any such complaints. Okay, he was happy to live with Mahendra in tough conditions also. He cooked food for him, washed his clothes and gave him company by talking to him at night. Ishwaran had a quality that he was good at telling stories and he entertained Mahendra with his stories which were based on different subjects. Okay, so Mahindra is a, you know, just kind of a TV for, sorry, Easwaran is a kind of a TV for Mahindra. Okay, now let's move forward. Easwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out of nowhere in the middle of desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. Okay, you can see now, desolate, uninhabited, where people do not live. Okay, kind of a lonely place, kind of a, you can see here in the picture. He would miraculously conjure up. Conjure up means to gather or to create with magic, to produce the things all of a sudden. Where there are no people living, it's very difficult to get the things now. But he was having a very great quality. This quality was also there inside him. He used to conjure up the things. The most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. Okay, so zinc sheet shelter means a temporary place to live with the roof made of metallic sheet. You would have seen houses ना, घर देखे होंगे आप लोगों ने जिसमें शीट की छतें होती हैं, metallic sheet की. That is called zinc sheet shelter. Okay, so Mahindra tells Ganesh, because Mahindra is narrating this all to Naresh na, Ganesh about Easwaran. So Mahindra tells Ganesh that Easwaran was a great cook. Whenever they shifted to a location, he would gather all the vegetables and other ingredients required by him to cook in no time, as they lived at places which was not inhabited by many people. Lonely places they were living. Okay, in temporary shelters with roofs made of metallic sheets. It seemed as if he would do some magic, कोई magic करता था वो एकदम से, okay, and gather all the ingredients out of nowhere. पता नहीं कहाँ से ले आता था वो एकदम से सारे ingredients he used to bring, right? Now let's see. Mahindra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Easwaran would tidy up the shed, wash their clothes and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. It would be lunchtime by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Easwaran enthralled. Okay, so you can see the word meanings here. Let me move back. Okay, muttering means speaking in a low voice. Muttering badbadana, speaking in a low voice. And then dozing off means falling asleep. Okay, and narrative flourishes means detailed descriptions. Enthrall means the state of being in someone's power, as if somebody has captured you, somebody else has come into your body and captured you, had a hold on you. Okay, that is called enthrall. So what writer is telling here, Mahindra is telling, Mahindra would wake up early in the morning. That is the routine here. The writer is describing about the routine. Mahindra would wake up early in the morning, then he gets ready and leave for work after eating his breakfast. He would carry his lunch along with him. So he used to carry his lunch also, just like you carry to the school now, your lunch, like that. After he left, Easwaran, now once Mahindra has left the house, what was the task of the Easwaran? He's not only a cook, see, he used to do a lot of work for Mahindra. He would clean their living place, wash Mahindra's clothes and then have a nice bath. He would take many buckets of water and pour on his head. And he used to mutter something like this, okay? Just like we used to mutter, na Har Gange, Har Gange, Har Gange, just like that only. right? And he would take when he used to pour water on his head, he mumble a prayer also. After that, he would eat his lunch and read his favorite book. After having his lunch, he used to go to have to his, he used to enjoy reading books. And which language? Tamil language books. So Easwaran would get carried away with the details and descriptions given in the books that he read. And then he would go off to sleep. Okay, he was so enthralled, he was so engrossed in reading those books, as if somebody has captured him. He got captivated by those thrillers, Tamil thrillers, and then he finally dozed off. Okay, his own descriptions were greatly influenced by Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to walk in suspense and the surprise ending into the account. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture, the road was deserted and I was all alone. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. I was half inclined to turn and go back, but as I came closer I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Easwaran's tale uncritically. See, our Easwaran, he was highly inspired by these Tamil thrillers. And he, suppose if he has to say a simple thing, a simple talk, he used to speak in such a manner, in a very dramatic way he used to tell that thing. Okay, so here you can see, let me tell you the meanings of the words quickly. Arched means curved. Okay, eyebrows. You can see here in this picture now how this smiley is having his eyebrows. So he used to curve his eyebrows. And gesture means a movement of hands for head to indicate something. Okay, that is for gesture. When we do like this, that is for gesture. Then deserted means empty, where nobody was there, all alone. And enormous means huge, very big. Okay, so as Easwaran reads stories with detailed descriptions, he narrated them in the same way. Mahendra recollects that he would narrate even a small incident with a lot of suspense and surprise, which made it very interesting for the listener. Then he gives an example that instead of saying that he was walking down the highway and he came across a tree which had broken and had fallen on the road, Easwaran would use his facial expressions and bodily gestures to narrate it. He would say that the road was empty and he was all alone. This would create suspense in the listener's mind. Then he would say that all of a sudden he saw a huge beast was lying across the road as he walked ahead. You can see here in this picture also. His mind was telling him to turn and go back. As he reached closer, he saw that it was a huge beast. See how he is interpreting the situation. It was simply that he was moving on a deserted road and there was a tree fallen on the road. Okay, see how he has narrated. He has made a hype and he has narrated it. He has exaggerated the thing. Okay, and he is calling the tree as a beast. Mahendra says that this talent of Easwaran made the simple story very interesting and it captivated him. Although he knew that some of the stories were not true, Mahendra knew that Easwaran's stories are not true, some of the stories are really not true, but the way in which Easwaran narrated them was so interesting that Mahendra would not say anything and listen to him quietly. Okay? The place I come from is famous for timber. Easwaran would begin. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled. Hauled means transported onto the lorries by elephants. They are huge, well-fed beasts Beast here means animals. When they turn wild, even the most experienced mahout is not able to control them. So here Ishwaran is giving the descriptions of the elephants. After this prologue means an introductory session before a speech. Suppose if we want to tell something now, so before coming to the main point, whatever introduction we used to give about that thing, that is called the prologue. So Ishwaran would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. Okay, elaborate means detailed. So Mahendra recollects another story. उसके दिमाग में एक दूसरी स्टोरी आती है. Okay, he recollects another story by Ishwaran. Ishwaran said that his native village was surrounded by a huge forest. ईश्वरन के घर के पास में जहाँ पे भी रहता था, तो वहाँ पे क्या था? There was a huge forest which was full of trees. The huge logs of timber were sold for commercial purposes. Okay, they were transported onto the vehicles by elephants. So elephants were used to transport those logs. They were huge elephants, and if they became mad, they would get out of control, and the mahout would not be able to tame them. Okay, tame here means to control them. This introductory session was followed by a detailed story involving an elephant. So what is that story? Let's see. One day a tusker means elephant. Here you can see in the picture. Please refer to the pictures so that the story will be easier for you to understand. Okay, so one day a tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about, stamping on bushes, tearing up wild creepers and breaking branches at will. You know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad? Ishwaran would get so caught up in the excitement of his story that he would get up from the floor and jump about, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. Emulation means effort to match or surpass a person by imitation or copying. Means exactly copying. इतना ज़्यादा excited हो जाना कि you just keep on doing the exact exactly the same way the person behaves. किसी की एकदम same to same, when you start copying, okay, to match or to even to excel that person by imitation or copying. The story was narrated as follows. One day an elephant escaped from the timber yard and roamed around the forest. Fine. It stepped on the bushes and crushed them, tore the creeper plants and broke branches of trees which came in its way. Means he was totally out of control, that elephant, tusker. Ishwaran asked Mahendra whether he knew how a mad elephant behaved. In order to make his story more effective, Ishwaran stood up, jumped around the place, hitting his foot on the ground in order to copy the actions of the mad elephant. So he started copying. He started doing the actions just like a mad elephant to make his story real, attractive, interesting. Okay. The elephant reached the outskirts of the town, breaking the fences down like matchsticks. He would continue. It came into the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits, mud pots and clothes. People ran helter-skelter in panic. Means sudden uncontrollable fear, often causing wildly unthinking behavior. Okay, helter-skelter means. The elephants now entered a school ground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. All the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tight. The beast grunted. Okay, grunted means producing a loud noise. So the beast grunted and wandered about, pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum kept for water and uprooting the shrubs. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the depredations of the elephant. There was not a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. Okay, so outskirts means outer area. बाहर की जो जगह होती है, outer area. Okay, helter skelter here and there, panic, sudden fear causing unthinkable behavior. And then grunted means made a loud sound, and depredations means attack. Attacks which were made to destroy something. So this elephant, this tusker, was really out of control, and he was doing these depredations. So as the elephant reached the outer boundary of their town, it broke the fences. The fences seemed as if they were like matchsticks for the huge elephant, because elephant it's very huge, and those fences were seeming very small in front of that elephant. The elephant reached the main road and broke all the stalls selling different things like fruits, mud pots and clothes. The people were taken unaware, and so they ran here and there in panic. Then it broke the wall of a school and entered the ground where the students were playing. All the students ran back into their classrooms and closed the doors. They were afraid. Okay. The elephant made loud noises. Grunted means loud noises. He was making loud noises and roamed around in the school ground. It broke the goal post in the football ground, tore the net that had been put up in the volleyball court, stepped on the water drum and broke it, smashed it. Okay, and tore many plants as well. The teachers, they had climbed onto the roof of the school building and watched helplessly as the elephant destroyed the school property. There was not even a single person to be seen around, not even a single person to be seen around, and all the streets of the town were empty as all the people were scared of that mad elephant. Okay, now let's see. I was studying in the junior class at that time and was watching the whole drama from the rooftop. Junior classes means 1st to 5th, okay? Now see how he has exaggerated the things. Just see, okay, let me read. I don't know what came over me suddenly. I grabbed a cane from the hands of one of my teachers and ran down the stairs and into the open. The elephant grunted and menacingly swung a branch of a tree which it held in its trunk. It stamped its feet, kicking up a lot of mud and dust. It looked frightening, but I moved slowly towards it, stick in hand. People were watching the scene, hypnotized from the nearby houses. Okay, nearby housetops. Now see, the elephant looked at me red-eyed, ready to rush towards me. It lifted its trunk and trumpeted loudly. At that moment I moved forward and, mustering all my force, whacked its third toenail on the quick. The beast looked stunned for a moment, then it shivered from head to foot and collapsed. Oh my God, really he is too much, he is too much. Now see, let me quickly tell you the meaning of the words. Hypnotize. Hypnotize means to influence, to control or direct completely, as by personal charm, words or domination. Hypnotize karna, vash mein lena. Mastering means putting together, mustering your courage, muster the courage we say na, that means putting together, to gather it. Whacked means hit very noisily, and collapsed means fell down. Okay, so at the time of the incident, Ishwaran was studying in one of the junior classes, 1st to 5th. See how young he was at that time. He was watching the elephant from the rooftop. Suddenly he took the stick from one of the teachers and ran downstairs. Teachers, so they were not able to muster the courage to face that elephant, but a small little child, our hero, this Ishwaran, he moved. Okay, he ran downstairs towards the school ground. The elephant made a loud noise when he saw a small boy approaching it. So the red-eyed means he was very angry. The elephant was very angry. Okay, and it lifted a branch of a tree in its trunk, hit its foot on the ground, which threw a lot of mud, गुस्से में उठाया उसने, and dust in the air. The elephant was threatening Ishwaran, but the boy was not at all afraid of it. With the stick in his hand, he moved towards the elephant slowly. Many people had climbed onto the rooftops of their houses and were watching the incident. They were standing still and were awestruck, waiting to see what happened next. See how he is bringing thrill. Just watch how he is narrating the story. how he is developing a kind of a curiosity in the readers. Okay, Iswaran saw that the elephant had red colored eyes, means very angry. The elephant was full of anger. It again lifted its trunk and made a loud trumpet sound as it was about to attack Iswaran. Just then Iswaran gathered all his force and hit the elephant's third toenail quickly. The elephant was stunned at that, at what had happened, and then it reacted by shivering all over, fainted and fell on the ground unconscious. Now you yourself imagine, is it possible for a child who is studying in junior classes to do all this? So he's just creating a kind of interest and curiosity and a suspense. Okay, now let's move. At this point, Iswaran would leave the story unfinished and get up mumbling, "I will be back after lighting the gas and warming up the dinner." Mahendra, who had been listening with rapt attention means completely fascinated or absorbed by what one is seeing or hearing. He was highly engrossed in the story of that Iswaran was narrating at that point of time, would be left hanging. When he returned, Iswaran would not pick up the thread. Pick up the thread means would not restart the story from where he left in order to arouse curiosity of the story right away. Okay. Mahendra would have to remind him that the conclusion was pending. Well, a veterinary doctor was summoned, called to revive. Revive means to bring back to consciousness the animal. Who's that animal? That elephant. Okay. Iswaran would shrug. Shrug means to raise one shoulder slightly and momentarily to express doubt, ignorance or indifference. That is called shrug. Casually, 2 days later, it was led away by its mahout to the jungle. Well, how did you manage to do it, Iswaran? How did you bring down the beast? So, what's happening here? After this, Iswaran would leave the story incomplete. In a low voice, he would say that he would return after lighting the gas stove to warm the dinner, as they were getting late for the meal. Mahendra would be curious to know what happened next and would feel disappointed that Iswaran had left the story in between. On returning, he would not continue with story as he wanted to arouse curiosity in Mahendra. Okay, Mahendra, who would be eager to know the ending, asked Iswaran to conclude the story. Now Iswaran would just say casually that a veterinary doctor was called up to bring the elephant back to the consciousness, and very casually he was telling all this. Okay, and after 2 days the mahout would take the elephant back to the jungle. After 2 days, see. So Mahendra was curious to know that how did the young Iswaran manage to overpower that huge elephant. He said, how did you bring down the beast? Okay, it has something to do with the Japanese art, I think so, karate or jujutsu. It is called. I had read about it somewhere. It temporarily paralyzes the nervous system, you see. So Iswaran, he said that he performed a Japanese martial art. He said it was either karate or jujutsu, Japanese martial art. He had read about it somewhere that the martial art rendered a person unconscious by disrupting the nervous system. You can see here the pictures of jujutsu and karate. Okay. Not a day passed without Iswaran recounting some story packed with adventure, horror and suspense. Whether the story was credible or not, Mahendra enjoyed listening to it because of the imitable way in which it was told. Iswaran seemed to more than make up for the absence of a TV in Mahendra's living quarters. So inimitable means unique, okay, a different. Credible means able to be believed, in which we can believe easily. That is called credible. So every day Iswaran narrate one or two other stories which are full of adventure, horror and thrill to Mahendra. Sometimes Mahendra felt that the story was a fiction and not real, but still he enjoyed listening to it because of the unique way in which it was narrated by Iswaran. As there was no television set at the place where they lived, these stories were a source of entertainment for Mahendra. So Iswaran was acting as a TV set for Mahendra. One morning when Mahendra was having breakfast, Easwaran asked, "Can I make something special for dinner tonight, sir? After all, today is an auspicious day. According to tradition, we prepare various delicacies to feed the spirits of our ancestors today, sir." So auspicious means a very good day, delicacies means tasty food, spirits means souls of the dead person, and ancestors means elders of the family. So one morning he asked Mahendra, Easwaran asked Mahendra, so that can I prepare something special for the meal today in the dinner? And he added that today is the day when we prepare special food for the souls of the dead elders of the family. That night, Mahendra enjoyed the most delicious dinner and complimented Easwaran on his culinary skills. He seemed very pleased out. Culinary means, you can see here, related to cooking. That is called culinary. He seemed very pleased but unexpectedly launched into a most garish account involving the supernatural. Garish means something which is too colorful and fancy, that is disliked. बहुत ज़्यादा जब आप लोग किसी चीज़ को ब्राइट कर देते हो तो वो एकदम बहुत गंदा सा लगने लगता है ना, that is also called garish. Supernatural means related to ghosts and spirits. So Easwaran had preparing a delicious dinner and Mahendra praised his cooking skills. Easwaran was happy on being praised, but all of a sudden started narrating a detailed story. He was so much pleased by the praise of Mahendra, his master, that he started narrating a detailed story relating to ghosts and supernatural powers, which was disliked by Mahendra. You know, sir, this entire factory area we are occupying was once a burial ground. He started. Mahendra was jerked out of the pleasant reverie. Okay, he had drifted into after satisfying meal. I knew on the first day itself when I saw a human skull lying on the path. Even now I come across a number of skulls and bones. Easwaran continued. Reverie means a state of being pleasantly lost in one's thought, a kind of a daydream. So he was having a very good dinner, and after that dinner, when he started telling about the ghost, the detailed story about the ghost, he was jerked out, he was shocked. Okay, he was afraid. So what he said, Easwaran, he said to Mahendra that the site of the factory was earlier a place where the dead were buried. Okay, and Mahendra jogged out of the pleasant thought after the tasty meal. Easwaran continued that on the first day itself he had seen a human skull. When very first day they entered the site, he saw a human skull lying on the ground when he was returning after buying vegetables. Even later he had come across a number of skulls and bones lying around the place. He went on to narrate how he sometimes saw ghosts at night. I am not easily frightened by these things, sir. I am a brave fellow. But one horrible ghost of a woman which appears off and on at midnight during the full moon, it is an ugly creature with matted hair and a shriveled, wrinkled and shrunken face like a skeleton holding a fetus. Fetus means unborn baby in its arm. Okay, so he said that Easwaran, he said to the Mahendra that sometimes he saw ghosts at night. Although he was not scared of them as he was a brave person, but once he saw a very horrible ghost of a woman. It appeared on a full night at 12 o'clock, he said, and it was very ugly and had matted hair and a shrunken, withered face. It looked like a skeleton holding an unborn baby in its arm. So Mahendra shivered at the description and interrupted rather sharply. "You are crazy, Easwaran. There are